Hello children. In this video we will be doing the ninth lesson in geography, trade. So trade, what is trade? Trade is something where you buy or sell in your own country from one place to another. It may be from one state to another or from one country to another country. Where there is import, there is export, there is demand, there is sale, there is profit. This is called as trade. Trade has been following from ancient times where people used to exchange goods in exchange of goods. Today, trade is being done in exchange of currencies of different countries. So, children, we have various needs in our day to day life. We buy various things to satisfy our own wants. We buy them, we create a demand for them. So, when we create a demand for them, the person or the factory who produces it needs to produce or manufacture those products. The buying and selling of goods is done to fulfill each other's needs. These who purchase are consumers. So the people, us, who consume the goods are called as the consumers. The producer produces and the seller sells. Buyers and sellers buy and sell the goods respectively. This is called as trade. Now, children, trade is an important economic activity. It plays a very important role with people's life, which is interdependent. So, no country in this world is self sufficient. Every country is dependent on each other for some or the other thing, where trade comes in. If there is something which is scarce in a particular geographical region, trade helps to fulfill those needs of humans. Now let's see some of the olden type of trading which was done earlier. In the first picture you all can see barter system, where people used to exchange goods in exchange of goods. Okay, so this is the old concept in ancient times, and in the medieval period, trade was done through the barter system. In this, there was an exchange of goods with other goods. Grains were exchanged for the work done, or oil, salt, honey, etc. There was no currency that was there at that time. Even today, we see traders who exchange utensils in lieu of old clothes. You might have seen it. Earlier too, there were many problems that were encountered. So as a result, the use of currency started. So because there was a lot of problems which was occurring due to exchange of goods, so that is why currency was introduced. So today we do trading with money, with currencies. In the second picture, you all can see visible trade, and in the third picture you all can see invisible trade. So what is it? When there is a buying and selling of goods, okay, when you buy and sell certain goods, you're getting something for the money that you give. It is called as a visible trade. But on the other hand, when there is an exchange of service, when you pay for something and you're getting a service in exchange of it, it is called as the invisible trade. For example, lawyers, doctors, teachers, they take money, they take their salaries, but in exchange they do not give you any product, they do not give you any commodity, they give you the service of their own expertise. Now children, there are different types of trade. Okay, so the one is which is based on the quantity of goods, and the other one is based on the extent of trade region. So the one which is based on quantity of goods is the wholesale trade and the retail trade. The second one, which is based on trade region, is the domestic, which is also called as the internal trade, and next is the international, which is also called as the external trade. So now let us see what is a wholesale trade. Now children, a wholesale trade is something where the traders buy commodities on a large scale from the producers, the people who produce the commodity. So the commodities are also sold on a very large scale to the retail traders. So this is known as the wholesale trading. Whereas retail trades are those traders that buy goods from the wholesale traders. Okay, so these wholesale traders who are there, they buy it from the producers. For example, if there are crops, so these wholesale traders, they buy it from the farmers. So from where does these retail traders buy their goods or commodities? They buy it from the wholesale traders. So it's like a chain. Okay, now let us see domestic trade. Now we are coming to the second part, that is trade on the basis of region. So the first under it is domestic or internal trade. Now children, what is domestic trade? It is very simple. It means when you're trading or when you're exchanging goods in the same country and you're not crossing the boundary. Okay, that time this type of trade is called as the domestic trade. In domestic trade, you do not have any much difficulties because you're trading inside your own country, same currencies, there will be no paperwork, there will be no different taxes. So that is why domestic trade is something which is done in the country itself. So what is international or external trade? International trade means the exchange of goods and services of one country with other countries. Here you are crossing the boundary. Some countries produce specific goods in excess. They produce a lot of goods. So that time they have a lot of goods to be exported. For example, crude oil in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and wheat production in USA, Canada, etc. So these products are sent to other countries which are having the demand for these kind of goods. When international trade takes place between two countries, okay, so it is called as a bilateral trade. Whereas when international trade takes place between more than two countries, then that kind of trade is called as the multilateral trade. And the last part is export and import. What do you mean by export and import? Export and import are the very basic processes of international trade. When a country buys those goods and services which are very less in their own country from another country, it is called as import. When you're taking in something, it is called as import. But when a country produces something in excess, it in surplus, or it may be services as well, then it sells these kind of services and goods to other countries. So this is called as export. When you're selling, it is called as export. When you're buying things from other countries, it is called as import. Next is children, which is very important related to trade, which is called as balance of trade. Now there are different types of balance of trade. The first one is favorable balance of trade. Second is unfavorable balance of trade. And the third one is called as the balanced trade or equilibrium trade, very commonly known as the balanced trade. Now children, let us see one by one what each one of them mean. So first one, which is unfavorable trade. So when the value of import in a country is more than the value of export, that time it is called as unfavorable balance of trade, because imports are more, we are buying more products and we are exporting less. So that is why it is called as the unfavorable balance of trade. The second type is the favorable type. When the value of export is more than the value of import, then it is called as a favorable balance of trade. And the last one is balanced balance of trade, which means when the value of export and imports are almost the same, there is a balance between import and export, then it means it is good for a particular country. So that time this type of trade is called as a balanced balance of trade. Now we move on further to international trade organizations. Now what are international trade organizations? Now they carry out trade at an international level, which is very complex. It becomes very difficult when a person or a country does international trade, whereas domestic trade is much more easier. When trade takes place between two or more nations, there are many things like the economy of the country, government policies, markets, laws, judicial system, currency, etc., which we need to consider while we do trade at an international level. Now, there are political relations between the two countries which also influence trade. So, if a particular country does not have a good bond with the other country, then trade gets affected. Sometimes there are many problems in the way of trading which affects the mutual relationship of the two countries. Now, in order to avoid these kind of problems, that is international economic and trade organizations come up. This organization, that is international trade organization, they come to solve these kind of problems in between the countries who are doing trade, that is the trading partners. So these organizations work towards the facilitation and growth of international trade. They help in solving the problem and allowing smooth flow of import and export. Now here you can see some of the international trade organization. These are the names like the WTO, World Trade Organization, then the European Union, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, that is OPEC, South Asian Association of Regional Cooperation, SARC. Then we have Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that is ASEAN. Next is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC. Then last we have, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, which is commonly known as BRICS. Our country, India, is a partner or a member of BRICS. Now these are some of the names of international trade organizations. So each one of these organizations help their member countries while they are having some problems in their own member countries. It may be helping financially, it may be solving any political problems, it may be solving or trying to minimize the taxes and the duty, okay, the excess duty that they have to follow. So this organization is nothing but to help in solving the problems and try and make sure of a smooth flow of trading, that is import and export at an international level. Now we move on to marketing. Now children, we learned about trading, we learned about import, export, demand, sale, wholesale market, then retail market. Recently we learned about the International Trade Organization. Now, when a particular company is selling its product, marketing plays a very important part in it. Marketing is something which helps the population or the audience to come to know about a new brand or a new product that has come into the market. If a company wants to boost their own profit, they need to have a creative marketing team which can help them increase their profit and sales. So marketing plays a very important part in trading, because if there is no marketing, people won't know which product is there in the market, which product is good for them. So marketing, advertising, these two play a very important part in the sales and profit point of view. Now let's see some of the important parts of marketing. Why is marketing important? Now marketing, which is there in the modern industrial social fabric, globalization and availability of abundant choices. Now in this market we have so many products that are available. There is tough competition in the world. Every part of the country is having a tough competition. There are so many soaps. If suppose you're having a soap company, you're not the only one in the market. There will be tons of other companies which are having or being in competition with you. But now how can you stand ahead of them? how can you sell your product? It is marketing and advertising that will help you in the selling of that product. So through marketing, one can increase business systematically. The production can be distributed at once on a very large scale. The product can reach a large number of consumers. The selling price of the product also increasing because of marketing. Advertisements making the customers feel the need to buy. So whenever you watch any kind of advertisement, you feel like buying those products. Okay, so advertisements also help in attracting the consumers towards the product. It also helps in making consumer buy the products, are the objectives behind it. Now, in recent times, information technology, that is IT, media, have affected the marketing systems very, very deeply. So, because of the revolution in the field of information technology, the whole world has become a very, very big marketplace. So, through internet, we can get information about the production taking place in various different countries. This makes different options available to consumers. So if a consumer is seeing for some particular brand or a particular biscuit or a soap or a shoe, so that consumer gets so many different brands. He has to choose from so many different brands. So from these different brands, how can one product stand out? So at this place, marketing and different strategies play a very important part. So it is due to internet that the consumers can use the facilities like online trading, e-marketing, etc. Now, with marketing, with advertising, with production, with trade, also comes the protection of the consumers. How can a consumer be protected from being frauded or from being, betrayed by the companies? So, if a product is advertised using wrong information or fraudulent means, or if the advertisement is exaggerating certain statements to cheat the consumers, okay, so at this point, what can a consumer do? A consumer will feel cheated because the consumer has paid for that product. So in order to solve this, there is something that has come up that is called as the Consumer Protection Act. This Consumer Protection Act has come in so that none of the consumers or the population of any of the country should feel betrayed or cheated. Anything that is being advertised or being sold in the market should be at the promises of what the advertisement has been done. If there is any problem, there can be a complaint that can be lodged with the Consumer Protection Act, or there can be certain things in order to solve the grievances that are being faced by the consumers. So here there is a picture given where how the process of a commodity being produced to the last stage of packaging to price fixing and promotion and distribution is given. So this is a basic process in which a product or a commodity is being, a chain or a process of commodity from the birth, that is a process of manufacturing, to the end, the last one, that is distribution, is being showed. The example of rice is given where basmati rice is there, whereas there is whole, broken and dubar, etc. Then the name of the company, logo, number, details about the quality of production, that is price, advertisement, distribution, and last is attractive packaging. These all points are very necessary, very important, because what you see, that you take. So the looks of a product is very, very important. So here we complete with marketing, and we also conclude with the explanation for this lesson. Thank you.